Hi and welcome to the church office. We've probably never met before. My name is Jonathan Thomas. I'm a pastor of a church in Abergavenny, and I've been friends with Gavin from the church office for a number of years. And over the last year, through the church office website and as well behind the scenes, Gavin has been helping me and my church in a transitioning process. And I thought, as we're coming to the 1-year anniversary of the church office, I would sit down with Gavin, find out what's been happening, why it's happening, and what we can all benefit from through the church office. So, Gavin, tell me, we're nearly 1 year into the church office. Yeah. How's the website going?
It's going well. Every time I check the stats, I am always surprised at how it's going. And what's lovely is that people are coming back to the website after they're using it. So I think we've had, in the first year, something like 5,500 people on the site, which for the first year just is amazing. I'm absolutely bowled over. I just think, wow, how has this happened? And then we've had about 8,500 people, kind of doing different sessions. So they've been on, they've come back, they've downloaded something, they've used it, they've listened to a podcast, and so it's crazy to think the numbers of people are using it, which is nice.
I mean, I was looking at some of the numbers, and you've had people from 85 different countries kind of log in.
It's mad, yeah. You look behind the scenes and you can see 85 countries, and you can see the number of times they've logged in, what they've downloaded, what they've used. In Nigeria, they've downloaded like a loan policy, and you think, how on earth is that happening, But it's happening, and I was absolutely amazed. 85 countries, God's got to do something, because, just putting a website together doesn't draw that number of countries to use it. And so they've used download a podcast, a video, used a document of some kind. I've had a few people get in contact and just say, hey, we love what you're doing, either via YouTube or something like that. So
yeah, and I mean, the website's great for churches. Like myself, we've subscribed. I think there's over 200 churches have subscribed. I'm going on there regularly. I think one of the things I've downloaded the most, I keep going back to re-download it because I forget where I download it to, is job descriptions. Yeah, that's been really helpful for us. What kind of things have been downloading well?
Yeah, it's interesting. The job descriptions thing has been the biggest thing. I think people, particularly in Welsh churches, have taken an interest in, what is a church administrator? It's not something like a classic role for a treasurer or a trustee or a deacon, and so they've been trying to look at different roles and what they do. We've covered things in there like youth and children's ministry, outreach workers, student workers. We try to think, right, what are all the different roles that churches employ, depending on their size, and we've tried to put together just a template job description that people can take and use, add things that work for their context, take out things that they think, we're never going to do it like this. And so that's been kind of one of the busier kind of sections of the website, definitely.
And it's interesting, I remember an old boss of mine, he used to call administration administry. That was his kind of favourite thing. And the folk who worked in the office, they loved it because they felt valued. And I noticed one of your most popular podcasts was entitled Why I Love Church Administration.
It's a kind of 30-minute podcast of me just saying, how much I love it and how important it is and how church leaders need to get somebody in this kind of role. And it's probably a bit of a rant, but it's kind of one of the early podcasts that we did on the site, just to kind of promote it, that there are actually people in our churches who are passionate about kind of organizing things and getting things going and getting things moving. And so it was a kind of a big publicity of, right, come on, let's find these people in these churches and pull them together and encourage them in kind of administration, and that is so valued and the church needs it to move forward. And what a joy it is to kind of serve in the background, and it highlights some of the things in that, just that when you're sat in the background of a church, you get to see things kind of on the front row, and you get to see God work in different people's lives and conversations and events and Bible studies, and you see it all, and it's like, this is great. I love this.
And it's what I've been encouraged by is with the website and church office, you've been able to do it from two angles, I think. So you've got things for church administrators, but you're also looking at it from the kind of pastor's point of view. So another one of your most popular videos has been a pastor's perspective on administration.
Yeah, I was keen for that, to have those two different perspectives, because I want to serve administrators. But right at the start of kind of putting the church office together, there was this real heart to serve pastors who don't have anyone in the role like a church administrator. So Pete and I have worked at Christ Church for the last 18 years, and we've been able to kind of do him do pastoral ministry, me do that kind of management, administrative stuff, and it works well. And I really felt this burden for pastors who were on their own, who are trying to juggle, like a COVID risk assessment, and are trying to care for their church through this time, and trying to make sure they've got all the legal obligations and all those things done correctly. I just thought they're going to be overwhelmed, and so there's a real, hopefully people can pick up that heart that I'm for pastors, want to release pastors and help pastors to do what they should be doing, you know, preaching the word, caring for folk. And if my site can enable them to save time, or can just give a bit of confidence that they're on the right road, on the right way, then that's kind of what I'd love to do.
And that's been, I think, fair for us. You know, we've been going on the website, downloading policies, looking, you know, at different things that you advise. But as well, it's not just the website. I guess you meet with people, you phone people, you do kind of services as well that perhaps not everybody's aware of. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's some part of the website that we've never really pushed. I think I've had a number of churches through the site that have contacted us, you know, saying, can you help us with a magazine for like an older congregation that wanted to put something together during COVID and didn't know what to do, and we were able to set up templates for them, say, right, use these and make a start. Similar for other churches, I've gone in the background and done what we've called kind of a review, looked at what kind of staff they've already got in place, what kind of roles they've got, looking at what they want to build for the future, and we've kind of sat with a number of church leaders and discussed kind of different options of things that they could consider, repositioning staff, retraining staff, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, all those kind of conversations. So yeah, sat with a number of senior pastors who kind of just one-to-one saying, you know, help me, you know, I don't know what to do with this. We want to move forward, we want to move the church in this direction, and we know we need some administrative, you know, support. What do you think that looks like? Helping people get set up on, you know, good church management systems like Church Suite. I think we helped you, didn't we, get going on, and saying, right, there's really good tools out there that sometimes pastors don't have time to research and look into. And so we can connect you, you know, quickly on those services side of things.
Because one of the things, you know, 20 years now in ministry, with every passing year, I realise administration is not about administration.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to look at Acts chapter 6, and you see when the church isn't administered properly, it has pastoral implications and it has missional implications. People are left out, people are hurt. You know, once you get the wrong people doing the wrong things and doing them badly, it's never good. So actually, as a church, we felt we were in that kind of Act 6 situation. We were looking at loads of different possibilities about trustees and staffing and how to best invest. And then I can still remember one elders meeting. We just said, well, Christchurch have Gav. Let's see if he'll come and have a look. And you came and helped us. You met with the elders. You did different things like that.
Yeah, it was called a back office review in the services page. And you basically are just looking at the church behind the scenes. So I think I spoke to every elder, every trustee, spoke to Jonathan, asked them a whole range of questions about how they operate, how they function, how they make decisions, looking at their budgets, their finances. And that time kind of invests sort of, you know, 7 or 8 hours into a church. And from that, we will be able to kind of look at some recommendations, say, oh, do you know what, I noticed this. You might want to consider, you know, addressing that. Or this is really strong. You know, you've got people who are really positioned well. And just look at different ways that we can kind of encourage or recommend and challenge different, maybe a different viewpoint or a different way of doing something. And I think, there's been a number of churches that have sort of benefited from those sort of times. And I know Pete's has always been keen here at Christchurch for me to have some time to support other churches and to bless other churches. And so there are options. You know, we've spent some time with a number of churches down in Swansea and supporting them in different roles and different ways so that they can look at their budget and how the budget and what they're trying to achieve, how those two things match together. And, you know, if they really want to reach out to kids ministry and young people in their area and they're only spending £500 a year, you know, you think, right, it's a real priority, but how do you rearrange your budget to to make those priorities happen.
Yeah, and I think we found it really helpful because, well, it's changed the way we've done things. It's changed our staffing structure. It's changed our trustee structure. You know, I don't want to put people off, but it did make big changes.
Yeah.
But it's been so helpful because having someone come in and look at things, and you know, you didn't tell us what to do. You just pointed things out and suggested things, showed options, which was really helpful for us to look at. And some things we were just going, why didn't we think of that?
Why didn't we
see
that?
Why didn't we see it? And fresh eyes. And then some things that we'd never come across before, which just saved us so much. And it's just, I think the word is confidence. It gave us confidence to make the change.
Yeah, because you've gone from having a kind of children's ministry worker and a, you know, kind of outreach worker, and to more of a church administrator now, mate. I've persuaded you to go down this road, a part-time church administrator. I love that, and I'm excited to see the kind of fruit of it, of what's going to happen. Has it made a difference already?
It's made a huge difference.
Really?
I mean, it's just, you know, I don't want to say too much to embarrass our church administrator, but, you know, our comms is so much better. The church know what's happening, so they feel so much better. And we're just using our time more effectively and helping people to serve more effectively, which is brilliant. So we're
finding those opportunities to get involved. And I think that's what is one of the great things about the church administrator role, is that it makes things mobile, doesn't it? So, you know, you want to sit with a pastor like yourself and say, right, John, what do you want to do this year? What's God stirring in you to direction? What events you want to do this year? What things do we want to do with the church? And having someone in that church administrator's role means that it go, right, we could do that. I'll organise that. All right, I've got the perfect person for this role, for that, and start to kind of move things forward. And I guess that's part of the joy of the role, mate. That's why I absolutely love it.
We've all become convinced of it, which is brilliant. So what's the future? What, you know, you're 1 year in. To me, the stats seem pretty high. If you'd, I think a year ago when you said this was happening, I didn't think your stats would be that high, you know, because it's amazing. So, what are the thoughts for the future?
I don't know. I mean, I just want to continue to kind of do more, put more on the site that, you know, that can support pastors, can support church administrators. I think I've kind of grown in sort of lots of different relationships with a number of churches, one in Liverpool, one in Bolton, some in London. So, you know, being able to connect and learn from other people that are out there as well that are doing similar roles to I am. I've been linking up with UCAN a bit and spoke at one of their conferences. And so I'm hoping that, you know, I want to kind of serve more churches, I guess, in Wales. You know, that's where we're based. That's really the heart of where we're at. We know a number of pastors that I think would benefit from some time together, would benefit from, you know, maybe listening to some of the stuff on the church administrator role. So I'd love to see it kind of promoted more widely. One thing I'd love to see happen, and I don't know if this will ever happen, but something to pray for, is that some of the universities or training, where there's training of pastors that is going on, whether there's a week or a day or something that the church office can go and support, you know, those that are coming into ministry, that are new, that are going to be carrying a weight of responsibility. It would be great to connect with them and say, right, have you thought about church management? Have you thought about church administration? How do you get people in the right positions? Because often we can get the wrong deacon in place, or, you know, the treasurer's been serving in it for 25 years and you know, we need to move them on, but we don't know how to move them on, and all those things, they can be quite hard when you're also carrying the kind of ministry burden as well. So I'd love to see something grassroots level to go, right, hey, we can serve there. Not just me, but there are other church administrators who are in big churches or have done it for a number of years in smaller churches that can speak into this. So I'd love to see something like that. That'd be fantastic.
And how can we support that? Because, you know, there's people watching this who are like me, we're downloading from the website, where, you know, I phoned you this year when we were making a final employment appointment, and, you know, I just needed that kind of confidence to know we were doing the right thing, wanted to check a couple of things out with you. So, you know, for those of us who are using the website and the services, how can we best serve and support you in the church office?
Yeah, I'd love to get some feedback, and please feel free to make requests and say we'd love you to speak into this topic, or would you put more together. We had a couple of requests from churches that were talking about how do they kind of the well-being of staff. How do you give people rest? How do we maintain the Sabbath day when people work at the church? And so we've been spending some time thinking about that and looking into that. Some questions have come about, isn't a church deacon the same as a church administrator, and what's the differences and what are similar things? And so I think there's some good topics like that would come in. So people emailing or getting in contact and just saying, hey, have you got anything on this material? And if we haven't got something, then we'd want to put the time into trying to write something. I had a church who wonderfully got in contact, and they'd used us on the services. We'd helped them organise something in their staff and policies. We did a policy review and a pay structure review, and it was great, and they were really blessed by it. And they were kind enough to pay for my time and said, right, what does it cost to run the church office for a year just to maintain the site? And they were like, right, we'll cover the cost of it. How do we make this free resource for churches? And I love this heart, and I thought, do you know what, that's great. And so if people want to consider giving something to the church office to enable it to be a free resource, it's not something that I'm looking for any kind of employment from or anything like that. We want anything that we get, we just want to be able to use to focus into different areas, to do more video stuff, to do more podcasts, get more people on using it. So so there's a few things, but I get on and use it and give us some feedback, and we'd love that.
No, brother, thank you so much for it. It is amazing to have this free resource with no paywall, we just go on to, and so I'm sure so many of us will want to support in prayer and finances and in spreading the word. But Gavin, to you and the team and all of the church office, thank you so much, and we praise God for what's happening.
Oh, superb! I'm absolutely amazed at God's grace and kindness in it. It's just wonderful. You get to speak to different churches where He's gone, this has made such a difference. You're thinking, this wouldn't have happened if God hadn't initiated something, that He hadn't brought stuff together. So it's lovely. I love hearing just kind of evidences of grace of people that have taken stuff and it's just blessed them and blessed their church. So so feed it back to us. We'd love to hear more. And like John says, please pray for us. That'd be so encouraging.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.